I hate Halloween for many reasons. I have to answer the door every 10 minutes. I have to pretend like I'm excited to give bratty kids free candy. I have to stay inside because driving on a road filled with crazy running children gives me panic attacks. I plop down in the chair by the window. Hordes of children in garbage costumes run around the sidewalks, shepherded by tired mothers. I sigh as a group of children cross the street and start toward my house. The doorbell chimes, echoing inside the house. I heave myself up, grab the bag of Milky Ways and walk toward the door.
Trick or treat!
5 kids stood on the doorstep, a few princesses, a Batman, and a teapot. And I unceremoniously grabbed handfuls of candy and plopped them in each kid's bag. One murmured.
Thank you.
The rest were ungrateful little brats.
Can I have more?
I looked up. The evil kid was staring at me, holding out his bag. His blonde hair shone in the porch light. His eyes were a piercing ice blue. There was something oddly familiar about him, but I couldn't place it. Oh, sure, I replied. I dropped a few more Milky Ways in the bag.
He didn't thank me. He just silently turned around and walked off my porch, following the other children. I shut the door and returned to my perch by the window. I watched as the 4 children walked off my lawn, joining a mother at the end of the driveway. Then the group disappeared into the shadows of dusk. Scarcely 2 minutes later, the doorbell rang again. I grabbed the bag of Milky Ways and trumped to the door. I straightened my blouse, plastered a smile on my face, and saw the door open. Trick or treat! A similar mix of kids. 2 Elsas, Marshall from Paw Patrol, and a ninja.
How scary you all look.
I said. They giggled and swarmed around for the candy, all except the ninja. He stood back from the rest, silently watching. His entire face was covered with a black clot, save for his chilling blue eyes. Thank you, the kids cheered, stepping off the porch. As they did, the ninja kid stepped forward. His eyes glittered under the porch light, and even though his mouth was covered, I couldn't tell he wasn't smiling. Can I have more? He said.
My blood ran cold. It was the same voice. I stood there, in the doorway, frozen. The Milky Way bag hung limply from my hands. There's no way he could change costume that fast. How? How could it be him? This must be some kind of joke.
Can I have more?
He asked again. I snapped out my thoughts. Sure, of course, I said. I threw a large handful of Milky Way in his plastic jack-o'-lantern candy bowl. That's when I noticed it was empty. If it'd been trick-or-treating all evening, how could it be empty? Hey, I said, are you okay? But he had already turned away, running back across my lawn. In seconds, he was gone, camouflaged in the dusky shadows among the fellow trick-or-treaters. I sat down on the chair and stared at the floor. I didn't want to look at the swarms of kids anymore. I just wanted to be alone. Those blue eyes. I know I've seen them before, and not under good circumstances. Whenever I'd seen them before, something bad or embarrassing must have happened at the same time. Seeing them again filled me with an inexplicable dread. I ran my fingers through my hair. Maybe he came to my house last year, but that didn't make sense either. Last year, I've been over my ex-boyfriend's Drew house. We've gotten into a terrible fight that lasted for hours, and I've left late. I hadn't handed out a single piece of candy. My head jolted up. Through my own reflection in the glass, in the dark shadows of dusk, I could make out something. a pair of blue eyes. I jumped back with a terrified shriek. Then I grabbed the cord and pulled. The blinds dropped with a clatter. His footsteps raced over the damp grass, fading into the night. Who the hell is he? I didn't have time to think about it. I didn't move. I didn't want to answer the door and see that kid again. But I also couldn't listen to the doorbell ring for 10 minutes. I heaved myself out of the chair, forced a smile, and swung it open. Trick or treat! My eyes glanced over the trick-or-treaters nervously. A fairy with curly hair, an incredible boy with brown eyes, a little girl in a tutu. No one of them were him. I breathed a sigh of relief. Here you go, I said with a grin. I was so relieved. I gave each of them about 10 Milky Ways. They squealed in delight and scampered back towards their parents. I slowly pushed the door closed.
It squeaked against the hinges and then slammed shut. I returned to my chair. I glanced at my phone. 8:19 p.m. The din of the children outside was finally fading. When I peeled back the blinds, the flow of little costumed figures was heading towards the main road. Within 20 minutes, the noises faded to silence. I flipped through a book, checked my text, and got comfortable. I picked up the candy bag, which was now nearly empty. Only 4 fun-sized bars floating in the bottom. I hope it's not more than 4 kids. It wasn't. It was just one kid. He was wearing some sort of werewolf costume. The outfit was black, tufts of fur, hair softly taped to his body. On his head was a hideous mask. The plastic snout was contorted into a snarl, revealing yellow teeth. Fake blood dripped from its mouth, caking the fur on his shoulders. "Do you want some candy?" I asked, my voice starting to waver. I glanced at the road. It was empty. All the kids were gone. A terrible dread sunk in my heart. My hands quivered on the knob. "Can I have more?" I slammed the door shut in his face. I clicked the locks. I ran to the back door and locked it. I closed the windows. Then I threw myself into a chair and sobbed. The costume was so familiar. Horribly familiar. The yellow slideless eyes, the pointed plastic teeth. Familiar and alien at once. I wrapped my arms around my knees and sat there, motionless on the couch, listening to the silence. I jolted up. My heart throbbed in my chest. I whipped around, looking for the source of noise. "Hello?" I called. It was coming from the living room. I squinted in the shadows, trying to make sense of the shapes. I could see the silhouette of the floor lamp near the window, the bulky outline of the couch. Something stood between them, something short with a horrible, contorted face. "Can I have more?" The voice quietly called out of the darkness. How? How did you get in here?"
I scrambled back into the family room. The golden light enveloped me, and I felt slightly better. He's probably just some lost kid, I told myself. I'll call the police. They'll find his parents. It's all just someone misunderstanding. Buddy, are you okay?
"You don't remember what you did to me 1 year ago," the boy said in the creepiest voice I have heard. 1 year ago. 1 year ago on Halloween night. How could I forget? I was storming out of boyfriend's house, fuming, swearing I'd never seen him again. Slam! The sound of my car door cut sharply through the night. The engine revved underneath me. The headlights blinked on the darkness. I wasn't paying attention. I was thinking about the fight. I didn't even glance behind me before I backed out of the driveway. I never saw him. The black werewolf costume against the night rendered him nearly invisible. It was over before I knew what was happening. When I ran out of my car, I saw the broken, mangled body of a little boy in a werewolf costume, and ripped the mask off to see his lifeless eyes staring back up at me. I didn't call the police. I didn't call for help. I panicked. I got back into the car, drove over the grass, and peeled out of the neighborhood before anyone could see what I had done. I felt sick. I couldn't see anything. I felt so dizzy. The only thing I could see were those blue, icy eyes.